Hi, I'm Audrey.
And I'm Leah.
We are in charge of exploring the milestones for the Pre-1858. Oh, before I go in, I just want to say that this illustration that we chose is a painting by Gordon Miller, and it's of, well, I guess fishing using a herring rake and a cedar canoe that we'll further explore later. So these are our milestones, finalized, just so you guys can get a good look at them for a little bit. And we're going to go into more in that. But before we go on into that, we want to kind of just give you guys a preface, but also talk about how we also want to include a preface to the milestones that we are of our era. The importance of that being what our intentions are, and how our position is to kind of open an inclusionary space where there is a possibility for more than one narrative to exist. And we were tasked to kind of be more of a provide raw and untempered version of prehistory, to kind of make clear of the origins and the actions of the people involved. But that in itself is storytelling and a narrative that we don't want to be kind of like careless about what the language that we use, the meaning of the words that we use. So I guess a way of storytelling, we want to be very, very sensitive, to people's understanding of a lot of things. But we also want to make sure that it's plain and that it's clear of what exactly was going on in these times. We want to make sure that it's understandable to just for all ages, I suppose. So it's kind of a dilemma in itself because there are a lot of words that are used to kind of distinguish the groups involved that are meant to be political, and that there are meanings behind them that need to be retained and that you need to have an understanding of. But you'll see that we have a lot of struggles with this, and we have had a lot of struggles with this. And we're always open to comments and, definitely a lot of criticism. We would like you guys to be really critical about what we show you guys. So come up to us later if you have any comments on it.
So for the emergence of Lower Mainland's Ridge River Delta, that is our first milestone because it just wanted to mark the fact that what we see today was produced through a lot of different forms and different stages, and we wanted to address how appealing it was for later populations and how it made it possible for populations to flourish in this area.
And this also is like a really major milestone in that it kind of gives us the groundwork of why this was a site that was so favorable and why it was so attractive to people, because that's what it's all about really, is the geographical setting of Vancouver, and has definitely a huge impact later on. People begin to settle in
Lower Mainland. So we wanted to address for this milestone that there are people here thousands and thousands of years ago, and we use the word people so that we don't necessarily want to carry on this polarized, kind of distinguished notion of different populations and people that were settling here. And we also really want to focus on how these were people of complex societies and of rich cultures, and they weren't, simple in any means. They were very advanced populations.
Just to kind of extend on the notion of why we use the word people, we did struggle with the fact that there were a lot of papers that we were looking at, anthropological papers that were using specific terms like Coast Salish, et cetera, et cetera. But I find that there's a lot of distancing between the observer and the subject of the matter, and we want to make sure that that's pretty clear that these are people, and that, yeah, there were relationships there that were very real and normal. So, continuing on. This one also, okay, is cut off for some reason, but it says Imperial Land Survey, which generates political and economic interest in the BC coast. Yeah. So this was also something that we had struggles with because the word imperial. We wanted to distinguish that there were differences between those that were there and then the people that were, I guess, foreign to the area, and how this had an impact on the presence, European presence in the area, as well as the relationship between not only just Europeans but also China and Russia, with the groups that were in the area, trade relationships. So a lot of it being economic interests in the area.
Yeah, we really wanted to indicate what their interests were and their intentions in coming to this area, instead of just leaving it at exploring, which is, you know, very vague and not completely honest in what these expeditions were for.
Because there was a lot of money that was invested into these explorations, and they wanted, you know, to get returns from that.
Yeah, so we also wanted to indicate the result kind of this imperial interest and, you know, these expeditions and, you know, contact between foreigners and the existing peoples. Obviously there was huge devastation of the existing population of Aboriginals, and you know, this had a huge impact on, you know, their population and their culture. After many waves of diseases, they weren't able to, you know, put storage away for the winter, and, you know, at times, like, it decimated entire villages. So, you know, this was really significant in their history. So we thought it was very important to include.
Yeah. Okay, and this says the first year-round business in the Lower Mainland, established by the Hudson's Bay Company. Yeah, so I guess what's so important about this is that when this was this area, I mean, we wanted to use, you know, it was this first trade post in the region, but really, if you think about it, it was kind of like a regional headquarters so that they could, I guess, have a bigger economic claim over the area and do better, like do more trading. We have located some documents to kind of show that there was a lot of salmon trading, and even though primarily in the beginning it was meant for fur trading, there wasn't.
The population in the area didn't want to change their
traditional practices in their own economy that was happening. So in order to accommodate for that and to adapt to it, the Hudson's Bay Company, they also transitioned into primarily salmon-based trading. This is 49th parallel border puts the Lower Mainland and the Broad Inlet in the future BC. So this was pretty important in that because there was a lot of disputes over this area, as the general area being Columbia District, Hudson's Bay Company and the Northwest Trading Company kind of merged, but there was a lot of disputes between the United States and the British over this area in terms of their claim for economic, I guess, for its economic, reasons. Because this area is very rich, as well. But this border here, this 49-degree north latitude, it included the Burrard Inlet and the Lower Mainland. So I guess north of the, or Fraser, the entire Fraser River. So it's a pretty rich area, and this is why we are so fortunate today to have so much here in terms of unique ecosystems and such. So this one also is cut off for some reason. But it says Hudson's Bay Company trades significant amounts of gold from the First Nations.
Yeah, so basically, pre-gold rush, the HBC, trading post kind of had this discovery that the Aboriginal peoples were, finding gold in the rivers and kind of keeping them as, precious keepsakes. So basically, the HBC kind of wanted to take advantage because they obviously knew of the gold's value, and traded with the Aboriginal peoples to, acquire a lot of gold. And as soon as the shipment went down to San Francisco to the smelter, news of this mass amount of gold basically led to the gold rush, which happened the following year. So we found that very significant in terms of, it was right before, as you can see in the diagram,
like kind of an inversion of the population. So this had a huge impact on the changing demographics in the region.
Yeah.
You can, see right there. Really, that was like a time that really marked that. So we would like to have something like this on the Wikipedia to kind of show that more visually. So that's it for now. But we do want to have some, final words, kind of our intentions of really trying to promote more relationship building between the First Nation groups that were in the region, such as the Squamish and the Musqueam, on this project later on. We think that's really important. It's something that we felt did not have the capacity to do during our time as students in the seminar. We wanted to get a research permit. We wanted to do this pretty professionally, but we find that it's really limiting to only have maybe 2-3 months to work on this, when a relationship between us and these groups that are involved requires a very long time, a long time, and a lot of effort on both parts to kind of build that trust. So we encourage that that's continued and that it is worked on after our time in this course is over. So that's it.